You guys talked about the Avs a little bit. I think they're going to actually get really hot as they get healthy down the stretch. I'm going to say they find a way to still get home ice advantage in round 1 of the playoffs. Frank, you buying or selling?
So that would mean that they need to finish in second or first in the Central Division.
Yeah, so right now they are 10 points back of Winnipeg and 11 points back of Dallas. They have 2 games in hand on Winnipeg. They have 3 games in hand on Dallas.
I will sell.
Bit too tough of a task.
Yeah, I just think that's a lot of points to make up. Winnipeg is 11-3 against the division. I don't know. That would be the team, but I think Dallas is in pretty good shape too.
Jay?
At 10 points in half a year, that's a lot to make ground against 2 teams that haven't really shown any signs that, they're vulnerable and suddenly are going to go. Now, one key injury, and like Winnipeg just got Nikolai Ehlers back. I think that makes them better. So
they got 4 players back on Friday night.
Yeah, I'm going to sell as well. I think that, the Jets quietly
had a ton of injuries.
A ton of injuries. Probably haven't given them the love that they're due for how well they've played despite those injuries. Rick Bowness has done a great job, but let's be honest. The Jets, I think, as a team, underachieved. I think a lot of their players would admit that last year. Connor Hellebuck's played excellent this year. Josh Morrissey's having a career year. It probably, the mourning period, I think, is a little bit better from a human element side for him, and that plays a big factor. But Rick Bowness, you can't discredit what he did. He made a huge change, taking the captaincy away. And to Blake Wheeler's credit, he hasn't pouted. We haven't seen anything publicly that looks like it's been an issue. And the Jets, Frank picked them to win the cup last year and it wasn't cool. But if you would have picked Winnipeg now, people wouldn't be scoffing. They'd be like, oh, hey, you know what? The Jets, like, they got the goaltender, they got good defense, and they've been banged up. So they get those guys back. I'm not saying they're a cup favorite, but to suddenly give up 10 points, that would be a little surprise to me.
Fair enough. The Jets have won 5 games in a row, and their next 5 opponents are the Wings, Sabres, Penguins, Coyotes, and Canadians. So a chance for them to maybe keep that heater going. Tom Wilson, Nicholas Backstrom, both back in the lineup for a Washington team that has just 1 regulation loss in their last 10 games. I'm going to call the Capitals, now that they're getting back to healthy, a stone cold lock to make the playoffs. You buying or selling that the Caps are a lock for the playoffs? Jason?
Well, so the Islanders right now are the 9th team. They're 6 back, but they got a lot of games in hand.
Yeah.
Frank, we were just talking earlier about, teams that play better when guys are out. And, will that continue now that they're back? Does the roles change? Does guys, focus change? I don't know. It's too early for me to say lock because the Eastern Conference has been, so up and down. They're in a good position, but I'm going to sell on them saying there's a lock. I just look at the game. They played most games in that conference. Pittsburgh's 4 games in hand on them. There's still time for those other teams to maybe close the gap a bit. I can't say lock.
Yeah, I agree. It's the word lock that's getting me. Pittsburgh is really close on a points percentage basis because they have 4 games in hand. The Caps have been too mercurial for me this year to really think that anything's a lock, but their goal scoring has been quite nice. They have a pretty good goal differential. I'm also, you mentioned Backstrom coming back. Like, I'd really be curious to see how effective he is because that was more or less an unprecedented surgery for an NHL player. Others have had the hip resurfacing surgery like Ryan Kessler, but it ended his career. Backstrom is the first player to ever have it and come back. Mm-hmm. So will he be a shell of himself or will he be the old Nick Backstrom? I think that's actually pretty critical in terms of answering the question as to whether or not they're a lock.
Fair enough. Moving to the trade talk, you guys touched on it a little bit. I'm going to say we'll get our first significant trade by the end of the month, and significant meaning top 6 forward or a top 4 D-man. Frank, you buying or selling?
I'll buy. Usually it's pretty traditional to have something before February 1st, at least something to sink our teeth into. So I think there's been some increased chatter. I can't guarantee that it'll be super significant, but I do think that there's a few things cooking.
I got to buy because I I want to see some movement. I like it. I think it's good for the game. And you this year, I think once somebody does it, it's going to get the ball rolling a little bit more. The only reason I'm hesitant is now it shouldn't matter, but so teams have little cap space that for some teams now you're in LTIR either way, so it shouldn't change it. But historically, there's always a lot of wait and see, and kind of as it gets down to the wire. So, and then there's the bye weeks, and so there's the benefit to me is like if you have I would make the trade if you think you're going to do the deal. To me, it makes more sense to do it before the bye week because then at least you can get a few extra days practice with that player on your team.
Not only that, but you can use that bye week as a way to get your guy settled in town.
Yes.
Look for the apartment or house or whatever it is that you're going to be living in. Get your family moved if you have one. Take advantage of the week that you have.